Okay, good evening, everybody. Hopefully this is working now. Y'all probably getting blown up. Let's see if this is working. Hopefully. Let me test these devices. Okay. Cool. You guys are probably getting all hit up with like all kinds of notifications. Let's see if this is working. There we go. Alright. So, yeah. Let's go ahead and get into this. Before I start bringing up the spaceship and everything, I'll just go ahead and explain a little bit. So, I've been pretty much pushing my computer to the max every time that I stream. And it's like really pushing it, like usually past 100% of its power. Past 100% of its CPU power, right? So, tonight and several other times tonight, like actually even several other times in the past, I've pushed my computer so far past its limit that it freezes. And then sometimes when it doesn't freeze all the way, it'll just have, let me try to end up turning this down a little bit. But sometimes when it freezes, it'll sometimes like give me like all these error messages and all of my computer programs stop working and my stream just shuts down. So that's kind of what's been happening like for the first few attempts here tonight. And so today I've been updating my software. I've been really trying to like get things taken care of so that I could stream this and not push my computer to like past 100%. So let's go ahead and see what we got here. Go ahead and get everything all set up. Bam! Time Warp KP. Thank you so much for getting on the spaceship. Yeah, it's been a struggle tonight. It's been struggle bus city. But it's all good, baby. It's all good. I just hope everybody's having a good night. So we'll go ahead and get in here, get this started. Alright, so this is Sovereign Starseed. This is my show. Every night, we are accelerating Earth's awakening process. And by helping the humans get sovereign, baby. And by helping them empower themselves and wake up. And usually that entails us going over like a lot of the cryptocurrency news that's happening. And just other things. Like sometimes we'll talk about privacy. We'll talk about just freedom of people. We'll just talk about, how certain people are being really honest about their actions and other people are like really being deceptive. It's all good to see. It's all good to learn from. And we also try to keep a balanced perspective here. We try to honor the good and the negative in both sides. And we also, on this channel, whenever we're going through news, we also like to honor the fact that the news that we're reading is propaganda and it is pushing an agenda of some sort. We're not shy to that. And that's okay. So that's kind of what we do here on this stream, on this vibration, on this spaceship. It's feeling so good right now. Oh man. I don't know if y'all know this, but this spaceship kind of like rides on good vibes. You know what I'm saying? It would actually slow down if we didn't have good vibes on it. So first, before I get into the news, I usually like to talk about something that I'm grateful for. And right now, I'm just grateful for having moderately good health. I got some pain. Everybody's got some pain. But I'll just say this: like I'm good that I'm grateful that I can walk. I'm grateful that I can breathe deeply. And I really want to end up raising some awareness to that because you don't really think about how good it feels to feel normal until you're sick. And whenever I'm sick, I always try to tell myself, man, when I get out of this, I'm going to be so grateful. So right now, I'm not sick. I'm not in any type of sickness. But I just wanted to give that honor and gratitude to my health. And that I've been doing some good things with my health lately so that way I'm not, down and under the weather. So super grateful just for good health. That's it. All right, so let's see. Next, we'll go ahead and get into it. Let's bring up the news. Let's see what the news has for us. Spaceship. All right, so the news tonight starts with Cointelegraph. It's gonna be one of them like vibed out newses. So, all right. Cointelegraph.com puts out this article that says cryptocurrency regulation not high on to-do list, says European Central Bank. Okay. So the European Central Bank has moderated its stance on cryptocurrency regulation Wednesday, February 7th, describing it as, quote, not exactly very high on its to-do list in a brief interview with CNBC. The ECB's chair of the supervisory board, Daniel Nouy, and my apologies if I butcher any of these statements or names or places or anything during these streams, no disrespect is meant. But yes, added that although she had, quote, no clue whether new regulatory moves on crypto would come from Europe in the future, involvement of ECB regulated banks in the sphere was very, very low. She says, quote, we scrutinize the issue in a regulatory perspective. We're ready to do something if it was needed, but so far it's not exactly very high on our to-do list, she told the network. So I think that's very beautiful. And it says the comment come ahead of an increasingly anticipated G20 summit coming this March in Argentina, where cryptocurrency regulation will form a major topic of discussion, according to a growing number of sources. So Bruno Le Maire from France, the French economy minister Bruno Le Maire says we're not observing a systematically relevant holding of digital currencies by supervised institutions. The European Central Bank president Mario Draghi told the European Parliament in Strasbourg Monday, and he also says actually credit institutions are showing limited appetite for digital currencies like Bitcoin, which I actually think is a pretty wise statement to see. And I actually could end up seeing that actually being something that I can believe a little bit. So from that, just wanted to go ahead and report, let you guys see that, at least in the European Central Bank, it's not too high on their list to try to put regulations down, which is pretty much going to drive a lot more commerce towards Europe in the future. And it's definitely going to start driving my commerce that way, especially if we continue to regulate and have such high rules where I live in the U.S. currently. All right, next. Bitcoinist.com puts out this article today. I just wanted to kind of go through. That's cool. And it says 5 ways Bitcoin has already changed money forever. And it says here are 5 ways in which Bitcoin technology has completely redefined the concept of money in its 9 years of existence. A revolution of money. Bitcoin is one of the most groundbreaking monetary experiments in human history. In just 9 years of existence, Satoshi Nakamoto's invention has grown into a multi-billion-dollar industry, leading to an explosion of fintech innovation, and that's just getting started. Meanwhile, Bitcoin technology has already reinvented the concept of money. According to the Federal Reserve, the characteristics of money are durability, portability, divisibility, uniformity, limited supply, and acceptability. Increasingly, Bitcoin does not only possess, but has greatly enhanced and redefined many of these properties. Let's take a look at 5 ways that it's done this. It's digitally durable. Bitcoin is unlike a ton of gold or suitcases filled with cash. A Bitcoin user can store indefinite amount on a given address. $1 trillion, for example, stored on a single address costs just as much to store as $1 in Bitcoin. So it's definitely digitally durable. Bitcoin can also be secured in many ways. A hardware wallet is probably your best bet, but one can also simply memorize the passphrase to access their wallet at any time. This makes the concept of durability irrelevant since your funds are completely digital and always accessible as long as you know the keys. So comparatively, the cost of safely storing cash, and particularly gold, comes at a great price and is the reason banks were created in the first place. So yeah, that's really the only reason why banks were ever created, guys, was because we had to figure out a way to store all of our gold in certain areas and, make sure that there was like a security guard. We all kind of collectively hired a security guard long ago to say, will you watch our gold? And the security guard's like, sure, you give me a tiny little bit of gold and I'll watch your gold. And that's how it started. And that's how we're now controlled by banks. But, it's simply going away because, you know, we're being able to store it, and it's more digital than gold or fiat dollars that are currently existing. Next, portable, sendable. I don't even need to go through this too much, but I'm just going to go ahead and say, people who travel abroad perfectly know that no more than 10,000 USD can be brought along, a penny more, and you must explain where that money is coming from and what it's being used for to the Border Patrol. Bitcoin bypasses this completely. In fact, you never technically hold any Bitcoin on your smartphone. A Bitcoin wallet merely gives you access to the funds stored on a Bitcoin network, akin to accessing your email from anywhere in the world. Good luck confiscating funds from a person's memory. So I think that's very beautiful. Highly divisible. A gold bar cannot be realistically divided into smaller units. Not so with digital Bitcoin. The Satoshi is currently the smallest unit of Bitcoin, of the Bitcoin currency recorded on the blockchain. It is 100 millionth of a single Bitcoin, or 0.00006386 of a penny, a USD at current prices. Don't think you'll be sending fractions of a penny anytime soon. Think again. Such small units of account open up a whole new range of business opportunities. Think tipping, streaming money. Hey, streaming money. By the way, my donation links are on my website, guys. And new ways to monetize online media, where clicks will be literally worth money in the not too distant future. So seriously, digitally scarce. Hard capped at 21 million coins. There are no central planners or decision makers that can change this number, because that would mean convincing millions of users to go along. Good luck. Moreover, the Bitcoin network is designed. I'm going to turn this down a little bit because it's getting loud, yo. Let me check the chat. Okay, cool. So yeah, basically, this is just beautiful. It says that it's designed to deter potential attacks. It's more profitable for all parties to play by the rules of the Bitcoin network instead of attempting counterfeiting, double spending, or disrupting the network in general, which I think is beautiful and is going to really start to get rid of a lot of the fraud that we're seeing from higher ups at this time. So, or people that I guess would people in the system would consider higher up, but you know, I respect all men and women and beings equally. Anyways, decentralized and apolitical. So this is probably the most important concept introduced by Bitcoin. Whether it's a soccer mom or a terrorist, Bitcoin doesn't care who uses it. It's simply a technology, a protocol for transferring and storing value, just like the internet is for transferring and storing data. In fact, its decentralized and apolitical properties were alluded to in a message from Satoshi Nakamoto in the Genesis block, which reads, the Times, 3rd of January 2009, Chancellor on the brink of second bailout for banks. Your Bitcoin company goes out of business? Tough luck, because there's no Bitcoin CEO or Fed chairman that will bail you out because you were frat brothers in college. Want to buy some arms, fund some rebels? Governments may think twice about warfare in general if money cannot be easily created out of thin air. And that is beautiful. Let's just take a look at that real fast, guys. I really want you guys to think about this, okay? So, one of the facts that makes Bitcoin so amazing right now and so hard to regulate, you know, is the fact that nobody knows exactly who created it. So whoever created this, if it's a person, if it's a group of persons, they've been doing very well by keeping their identity so secret for so long that now the whole world is pretty much operating off this person or this group of persons protocol. Now, this is usually why a lot of governments and controllers right now are trying to tell people it's unsafe. It's a Ponzi scheme. We don't even know who created it. But it's at this time in our history and on our planet where our species has been monitored and surveillanced and lied to so much that we've now become so paranoid that we are going to be looking for an alternative, which, you know, if the government wasn't being so deceptive, all governments, all controllers, if they weren't being so deceptive, they wouldn't even give the room for Bitcoin to flourish. Why? Because Bitcoin would try to come out and say, hey, you know what? We're the #1 thing. We're changing the world, baby. But people would be like, what? What are you really trying to change? Like, the banks are already great to us. Like, they give us everything that we want. They pay us to hold their money with them. They pay us to write checks. They pay us for every fee instead of us paying them for every little thing. And it was hard for banks to think about that at first, but there were a few banks that reversed the business model and made it work. That's something we could say if the governments and banks were actually doing great things for their people. However, because it's the exact opposite, it's allowing Bitcoin so much room to come out. And let me also go ahead and say that I'm under the full awareness that the Bitcoin protocol could have been an inception of government intelligence agencies, could have been a creation of the NSA, could have been a creation of something else, who knows. But what I will say is that what it's doing is it's starting to introduce technologies to this planet that our species is taking way further than what we currently are using. And it is a step into the future in a way of us being able to take our own accountability back. And what is so important about this part of Bitcoin changing money forever being apolitical is that nobody can say, okay, Satoshi Nakamoto is a guy in Russia, so clearly it's some Russian invention trying to take over the world, so we need to stop Russia. It's not like, you know, he's ever saying like, let's see, it's not like Satoshi Nakamoto is like, you know, of any certain religion, so nobody can end up attacking that religion and being like, oh, it's the Church of Scientology, or it's Christianity, or oh, it's this thing, you know. And because there's nothing else known beyond the fact that this is the label of the creator of this protocol, that's why it's so beautiful right now, and governments are having a hard time trying to go, well, who owns this? Where is this? Where did this come up from? Where did this start from? Because then if governments can try to figure out where it started from, then they can also try to figure out a way to use language to try to capture that technology and go, yo, yeah, well, it started right here. Well, I know that the laws here are like this, and this regulation is like this, and you didn't ask this certain controller if you could do this certain thing, so you didn't follow this one certain regulation, so now you have to go down, and Bitcoin does too. Ha! We're the government. We're protecting you. You should thank us. You know what I'm saying? So instead of that, you know, it's just something where it's like, wow, we don't know who really created it. We can't say that, you know, it's one country's decision. You know, it could have been a concerted effort from multiple countries. But the fact that no one specific religion or political party can control this is what's making it so powerful, and it's turning it into a superpower. If you guys think about the internet is really the world's new superpower, and that's why the FCC has tried their hardest to go ahead and control it. And now we're having to reverse the stupid decision that we made in December. So from that, you know, I just want you guys to see that that's what's so beautiful, is that the internet is a superpower, and one of the reasons why is because it's not dictated to any one country, anyone's centralized body, anything like that. And even though the FCC is trying to regulate and become that centralized body that thinks it has power over the complete internet, it only has power over the little centralized internet that it's helped create. But there are so many new things that people are starting to do in decentralized platforms that now the FCC, anybody else that's trying to remain relevant, needs to start looking for new jobs. But that's what's so beautiful about this. You can't like say to one government, take down your Bitcoin, because it's apolitical. So, yeah, the fees are like, Bitcoin doesn't care who criticizes it, bans it, says it's dead, or attempts to associate it solely with criminal activity. It just is. Either use it or don't. It's completely your choice. And that's really it, guys. That's really it to how to be sovereign with this. So I just wanted you guys to see that, so that you can see that this is something that's definitely changing money forever, and it's ways that no one government on the planet could ever touch, because it's one government, because of what it is. And so that's proof right here, family, that like we are seeing new technology entering the planet that we must embrace, and we must take further than Satoshi Nakamoto. And we must make our own type of blockchains and our own cryptocurrencies. And I want you guys to remember this, that Vitalik Buterin wouldn't have been able to create Ethereum, and all of these other cryptocurrency creators wouldn't have been able to create all the other cryptocurrencies that you're currently seeing if there was a whole bunch of regulations in the cryptocurrency space. This is the time where we're seeing it being really fertile, and everything was actually, it's not the time now, But we just passed the time when everything was super fertile and everybody could think of an idea, think of a coin, come up with it fast, release it, have that project go far. Even if it's a joke project like Dogecoin, you can even make fun of cryptocurrency and still make a cryptocurrency and still make it something that's valuable to people. Isn't that fascinating? So I just want you guys to see that, because this is something that now that we're starting to come to the end of that era where it's super fertile and everybody can create whatever idea that they want and birth it fast, real fast. Now we're going to start to enter a space where people are going to have to start to kind of worry again about if they are able to be their true selves. If our species is scared of regulators, and if our species is scared of those centralized authorities that are trying to say that they protect you for your protection. But if our species isn't scared, and we start to empower ourselves, and we start to think for ourselves, and we start to become sovereign for ourselves, well, then it's not really going to end up being any need to have a centralized authority telling us what to do. We won't really be afraid of regulators saying, please don't get into Bitcoin. It's a scary thing. It could be fraudulent. You need to listen to us and let us tell you what to do. We know it's safe. Even though we don't know what Bitcoin is, we know it's safe. So I just want you guys to think about that, because you won't really end up really worrying about when regulators try to come and say something like that to you. You'll be like, it's all right, man. I've made money. I've lost money. I'm learning. I don't need somebody else to tell me how to do it. I appreciate this. That's nice. That's cool, but don't worry about it. I'm good. So just think about that, guys. And really, right now, before any further regulations come out, you better get on creating some cryptocurrencies. You better creating some beautiful things with your lives. Make some beautiful artwork. Make some beautiful music. Do something for the species. Do some research. Whatever it is that you're into, do it. And make sure that you end up going forward in this space before all these regulations start to come in, and it's going to be the same as all the regulations if you were trying to set up like a traditional business entity, and it's going to be the same as that, if not worse. So I want you guys to see that. So let's go ahead and have some fun with this, and use this to the fullest extent that we can, because this has already changed money forever, and regulators are trying to change it back. So just think about it. Next, Bitcoinist.com puts out this article today that says, Apple Android attacked by Monero mining malware. As often as we hear stories of regulation and clampdowns, we're now hearing more of hacks and malware. A new incursion is discovered on an almost weekly basis now as cyber criminals edge away from ransomware and into cryptocurrency mining malware. The latest detection was made by Chinese security researchers who uncovered an Android-based mining worm. So, according to the reports, cybersecurity researchers at China's 360net lab revealed a strain of mining malware called ADB.miner over the weekend. As in previous exploits, the malware harnesses the hardware of the device in order to mine Monero, the encrypted and anonymous cryptocurrency. Open ports are exploited. The researchers revealed that over 7,000 devices have already been exploited by the vulnerability that spreads via open port 5555. And the team says the 555 ADB interfaces of those devices have already been opened before they're infected. We have no idea about how and when this port was opened yet. So, Mac attack. For those forever defending Apple, which, I do a lot, but I'm also always saying as well at the same time, guys, that I'm aware. And, I keep my mind open that, there's not anything completely honest going on in the public from these companies. And, I'm waiting for a better company, a better operating system with a lot of support behind it and a lot of compatibility behind it to push me away from the Apple ecosystem. Absolutely. So for those forever defending Apple, it seems like these articles are written for me, right? Like, I love these guys. Like, it feels to me like, anybody that's watching this from Bitcoinist.com, if you watch my streams, thank you. First of all, thank you to anybody that watches my streams, but thank you. And also, I feel like you're writing these articles for me, bro. So for those forever defending Apple, the news was also gloomy. In a separate story, it was revealed that security from Sentinel-1, that new Mac malware is being distributed via Mac Update. The Mac Trojan named OS 10.creative update also harnesses CPU power to surreptitiously mine for Monero. According to security researchers at Malware Lab, the malware was spread via hacks of the Mac update site. So guys, don't go to this site. Just usually update your Mac through the App Store. If you're downloading software, stay away from the macupdate.com website and you should be good, which was distributing maliciously modified copies of the Firefox, Onyx, and deeper applications. This is the third piece of Mac malware so far this year, following OS 10.mami and OS 10.crossrat. Mac mining malware is particularly alarming since most Apple aficionados live under the false pretense that their machines are immune. This has been proven false on many occasions. I will also address that as well. I know that there isn't any system that's completely immune, and I know that I have 24 hours in a day, and so I'm going to end up doing the things that I need to do to end up just keeping myself secure, but I can also migrate to other operating systems if I need to. And this is a good point to end up remembering, guys, that there's nothing out there that's completely secure. That's why I've reported in the past on the Spectre and Meltdown vulnerabilities and what we need to do to keep safe from those types of things, and also how to tell if our computers and machines are being used by it at the time. And it says right here, it says, these incidents will increase over time as cryptocurrencies become more lucrative for cyber criminals. Just last month, mining malware was found in Google's YouTube advertising, and the month before, hidden in Facebook's Messenger. Maybe it's time for the monopolies of the internet and technology to focus a bit harder on their security rather than the billions of dollars they are raking in. So yeah, what do you guys do for your security? How deeply do you think about this? Is this something that's important to you? Is this something you don't care about? What I'll just say is that, in the past I've already reported on it, but just make sure that if your computer fans are turning on and they're getting really, really loud and you're not doing like super resource intensive tasks, to start to look at some antivirus software, so that way you don't end up having like too big of a problem with Monero mining and wearing your computer down really, really fast. So because of that, I just think that there might end up being some protocols. In my opinion, what I think the best thing should happen would be to have malware considered code built for the next Monero update. Because basically what I've seen is a lot of people I've just basically seen in almost like 9 out of 10 of these attacks that Monero is the one that's being mined. And it's because that cryptocurrency is very anonymous and it's very hard to trace, so people can mine it and get away with it and nobody will know who has it. But if Monero was to release some type of update in the future to its core on how it operates, saying like, we're going to consider, what type of malware is going on. We're going to consider, the ads that are happening and the type of mining that's being taken place with this cryptocurrency. And because of that, we're going to build something into the protocol to protect against that. So I'm not like a protocol engineer, but I will say that like there's definitely ways to start looking out for this. And that's probably the most efficient way of stopping all of this, or at least minimizing it as much as possible in the future. Okay, next, let me just check chat. Hey, crotch rat. I know, right? Yes. Hey, thank you. Yeah, I'm turning it down. Are the levels good now? If you want me to, I'm just checking chat. If you want me to turn it down, if you want the music up, tell me to turn the music up. If you want my voice down, tell me to turn my voice down. Whatever. I'm cool with it all. Crotch rat. Perfect. Excellent. Thank you so much. All right. So, yeah, basically I just wanted you guys to end up seeing that so that way you can see what's going on. If you're free, for anybody that has an Android or mobile device, really, any mobile devices out there, I just want you guys to end up seeing that for these mobile devices, if your phone is getting really hot and your battery is running down really fast, well then it's a time to look at some of the apps that you recently installed. Take a look at some of the tabs in your browser that you recently opened, and just look at a few things and see if anything might have any ads in it that are like really intrusive. And then you might want to go through and clear out some of your data, such as like maybe uninstall a couple of the apps that you recently installed to see if the problem's still happening, and clear out some of your website data on your devices so that way you can stop having those types of, what can I say, you can stop having those types of problems, you know, and your battery won't go down so fast, and your phone won't be as hot. So, you know, that's just one thing, guys. I want you guys to end up seeing that so that, you know, we can end up having a full sovereign perspective of what's going on with these types of things. All right, and then next, Bitcoinist.com puts out this article that says small Canadian bank Versabank creating private safety deposit boxes for crypto. With a BlackBerry cybersecurity expert on board, small Canadian bank Versabank prepares to offer digital vaults for secure cryptocurrency storage. Size doesn't matter. Versabank may not be the largest bank in Canada, but they're looking to lead the charge in securing your cryptocurrency holdings. Based out of the city of London, Ontario, the bank plans to launch their digital vault by June, and customers from all over the globe are invited to open accounts. CEO David Tyler says this. It says, "We're using what banks are all about, safety and security. Only what we're doing now is saying that physical boxes in the basement in the basement is getting obsolete. Most people's really valuable assets are contained in some form of digital format, whether it be a deed or a contract or a cryptocurrency." Versabank is currently Canada's smallest bank by assets, but looks to give the country's big six a run for their money. Versabank's announced plans come at a time when secure cryptocurrency storage is needed, with large-scale hacks and crypto theft taking place all too often. A focus on privacy, like physical safety deposit boxes, Versabank's appropriately titled Versa Vault will be totally private. However, not only will Versabank not know the contents of the vault, they won't be able to open it, explains Taylor to Bloomberg. He says, "Our differentiator in this market is to be secure and super private. The bank wouldn't have any kind of backdoor to open up the vault. We're just providing the facility that folks could put their digital keys in." So security comes at a cost. He says their vault service will be expensive, meaning it will likely serve primarily large, wealthy funds. And it's not the first and not the last. So Zappo has been securing Bitcoin for clients for 4 years, and they're based in Palo Alto. Toronto's base metals-focused company Gold Money also began storing Bitcoin in September. And Shinhan Bank, in South Korea also says that their Bitcoin vault is under construction. And there's actually other places that I've talked about that are like 50 feet underground, and other places where you know, they are trying to store people's digital currency. So let's look at this. First of all, I just want to go ahead and say thumbs up to David Taylor, you know, of Versabank. Thank you so much for being able to provide people the confidence on being able to store their funds with you. And I want just the people of this show to end up seeing that, you know, there's always a double-edged sword with this. So the good news is that you're going to have a safety deposit box where you're going to have a lot of security, that people are going to have a lot of money and go through a lot of crap to get through the front doors of that place, to get in, to try to get somebody's secret keys. But there's always a downside, and I think that the downside is actually kind of twofold. First, it's really only open to people of wealth, which cryptocurrency allows security at such a fine-tuned level that the wealth can be put down to a very, very individual level for very, very cheap. It's just we have to educate each other on what this security would look like. And I will be making videos about that in the future. I'm going to do a whole series on that. But, you know, the only other thing that I wanted to point out here too is that now what you're doing is, you know, instead of being sovereign over your funds, you're giving your sovereignty over to David Taylor. And, you know, I gave him a thumbs up. I think he has great intentions, but I also want you guys to know that David Taylor is a human, you know, and as if you didn't know that, you know, I guess I don't need to say that, but I just want to remind us that, like, he's human, and humans can be manipulated, and it's not in the most prettiest of ways either. They could be the nicest and most happy and well-intentioned people that could come across some other people that have not the best intentions, and they could extract things from David that could compromise the company, even though he's saying that he doesn't even have access to the vaults. And the only other thing that I wanted to say too is that if we're all putting our keys in something centralized again, then we're missing the point. If we're all putting our assets again back into something like Versabank, then I think that we're missing the point. So yes, David Taylor, I give you a thumbs up for your intentions, and I think that's great because you're going to try to provide some type of transitionary entity for people that are really stuck in the fiat world and need to get over to the crypto world. However, I also want people to know that banks are just really not necessary in a world where you are your own bank. And that's it. It's not necessary to end up trying to make another third party to hold your money again. And that's really what I wanted to get down to with this. Even though he gets a thumbs up, I just want you guys to know that it's really not necessary. This is the exact same thing that, you know, we have today. Same thing as Bank of America, Versabank Inc. So, you know, there will be people that will want to do this, and they will only want to do something like this just because that's what they're comfortable with, that's what they know. And okay, but I just want other people to recognize that, you know, that's really not what that's about. What it's about is getting away from banks. It's about getting away from centralized authority. That's it. People that want to guard us, guardians, the Toltecs call it. To my friends that teach me that wisdom. So it's like, you know, think about that, guys. And so, yeah, from that, I just want you guys to think, do we really need another bank holding our money again? Or can we be mature enough to hold our own money? So next, this is just something that I wanted to end up putting out just because I ended up seeing this up on Reddit, but it's fascinating. So IG Metall, Germany's largest union, wins rights to a 28-hour working week and a 4.3% pay rise. So I really want you guys to see this because this is pretty cool and pretty important. IG Metall, Germany's most powerful union, has won two amazing things recently. Imagine this. Imagine if you got this, if you're working a traditional job. Imagine if you got a 4.3% wage increase. Everybody across the board got it. And you got a 28-hour working week. So you got paid more and you have to work less. What do you feel about that? Because that's just what Germany's most powerful union got awarded. So they won, and they have a right to a 28-hour working week and a landmark deal that will be seen as a benchmark for other sectors. The agreement shows how strong a hand Germany's economic boon has given the unions in wage negotiations this year. Last year, the economy grew at its fastest rate since 2011 and unemployment at its lowest since reunification in 1990. The terms of the deal, reached on Tuesday after 6 rounds of often bruising talks and a series of 24-hour strikes, also demonstrates how the pursuit of a better work-life balance is now just as big a priority for organized labor in Germany as winning big wage increases. So this is very, very beautiful. And I just want you guys to see that so that we can end up having some good positive news to look at, you know, because it's good to always end up, you know, at least taking a look at the news and taking a look at what's going on there. And so with that, family, I just wanted to say that that's the end of the news. So we'll go ahead and we'll